Now, in the world of relationships or in general out there in the real world, there's this idea that's discussed where they talk about approach anxiety, right? Where they speak about this idea where men actually get nervous when approaching someone they don't know, especially if it's a woman. And they say, "Oh, a lot of people encourage men to say, "Oh, get over the approach anxiety. Just do it anyway. Just step your foot in the water. Just put yourself in that situation." But you want to keep in mind that, we do have instincts, we do have feelings for a reason, right? So, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. Um, Sometimes when you might approach someone who might have what we call like a safe vibe, right? Maybe you're at church and you decide to approach your pastor. Whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. But do you ever feel like your life is in danger when you approach your pastor? Probably not. You feel pretty safe. You feel possibly that this person may be trying to help you. You feel possibly that this person might give you some advice that might actually improve your life. You feel possibly that this person will give you a positive message. That's how I feel when I'm possibly at places like this and I'm looking at places like this. I'm thinking it's possibly a good idea for me to speak to some of these people. And I'm thinking that it's actually more than safe, right? So, in a lot of ways, you know, I'm not trying to get too focused on Christian pastors. What I'm saying is sometimes before you approach a person and speak to a person, you don't feel that approach anxiety. You feel that you possibly might be safe with this person. You feel that this person might improve your life. You feel that this person may give you some positive advice, a positive message, but it's there. Whatever initial instincts you just feel about this person, it's there. And that kind of tells you maybe it doesn't give you the full story, but you got to understand that instincts are there for a reason. And instincts will not only tell you what kind of person a guy is or a girl is, it will tell you how they feel about you, how they feel about you approaching them, how they feel about you talking to them, right? How comfortable or uncomfortable they may be feeling, right? Now, I've experienced feelings of approaching someone, and this is both for men and women, especially women, where I possibly feel like I'm in danger approaching this person, where I possibly feel like they may be thinking that well, they may not be open to the idea of being approached by strangers in general, right? And that's not to say you shouldn't do cold approach. That's not to say that, but it's to say you should probably listen to your instincts, especially when it comes to women. And if you feel like you're in danger speaking to someone, and if you feel like you're getting nervous speaking to someone, and you can't, if you can't put your finger on it, where that feeling is coming from, and if you're feeling weird about the situation, but you can't quite put your finger on it, because sometimes I have that where I'm feeling really uncomfortable around a person and I can't quite put my finger on what it is about the person that I'm sensing, but I can sense that it's not a good idea for me to hang around this person. Now, I listen to my instincts. I hope that you do as well. But you got to realize this approach anxiety, it may not necessarily be a real idea, right? You got to think there are definitely some women in this world who, when you think about approaching them, you don't feel like you're in danger, right? You actually feel it's quite safe to do it. Maybe she doesn't have an inclination to do things to guys, right? Or to mess with guys in a negative sense. But, when you're speaking to a woman who does have an inclination to do that, or possibly might go too far, or, might not necessarily too far, but who's definitely not open to being approached by you or most strangers in general, you are definitely going to feel like you're in danger. You are definitely going to feel that what we call approach anxiety. You are definitely going to feel that sense of this isn't a good idea, right? And we've all felt that sense of this isn't a good idea when it comes to people, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to approaching people, when it comes to making money. We've all had that sense, that deep rooted gut feeling that comes up when we're thinking about doing something and it's like, this isn't a good idea, right? So this is to help you recognize, where does approach anxiety come from? Where does the feeling of, feeling weird about approaching a person and speaking to them come from? It has to come from somewhere, and it has to be there for a reason. And once you deduct where that reason coming from or what possibly it is, then you'll be on the right path to kind of learning more about people in general.